Ever wonder why that sweet deal on a used bike seems too good to be true? Sometimes it's because there's a ticking time bomb under the tank. Today, we are counting down 15 motorcycle engines that'll turn your dream ride into a nightmare of oil leaks, blown gaskets, and repair bills that'll make your wallet cry harder than a two-stroke at Redline. Before we dive in, if this saves you from buying a lemon, smash that hype button. Let's show YouTube this content matters to real riders who value their hard-earned cash and weekend rides. Number 15. Yamaha VMAX, 1985 to 2007. The VMAX promised brutal acceleration with its 1200cc V4 engine, and boy did it deliver, along with some unwanted surprises. While Yamaha typically builds bulletproof engines, the VMAX became the exception to the rule. This power cruiser could accelerate from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, but that performance came at a serious cost. The main issue? These engines ran hotter than a Texas parking lot in August, especially at low speeds. The massive V4 configuration created cooling challenges that Yamaha never fully solved in the early generations. The cooling fans would run constantly, yet the engine still overheated in traffic. Add in the tendency for second gear to launch itself under hard acceleration, a problem so common that aftermarket companies developed reinforced gear sets specifically for this issue, and you've got yourself a money pit. The VMAX earned its reputation as a quarter-mile king, influencing the entire power cruiser segment from Honda's Valkyrie to Triumph's Rocket 3. But unless you're prepared for frequent wrenching sessions and deep pockets for parts, this beast might be better admired from afar. Number 14. Kawasaki Vulcan 2000, 2004 through 2010. Speaking of excessive, let's talk about Kawasaki's attempt to outmuscle everyone with the Vulcan 2000. At 2053cc, this V-twin held the title of largest production motorcycle engine when it launched. The bike tipped the scales at over 800 pounds wet, and just getting it off the side stand required serious leg strength. The problems started with that massive engine constantly hitting its 5,250 RPM rev limiter, forcing riders into a constant shifting dance despite having 120 pound-feet of torque. The hydraulic clutch required gorilla grip strength to operate, and many riders reported hand cramps after just 30 minutes of city riding. But the real deal breaker was oil consumption. These engines could burn through a quart every 500 miles, which Kawasaki initially claimed was normal. The engine's excessive heat in traffic would literally cook the chrome off of exhaust pipes. Kawasaki pushed the boundaries of displacement, marking the peak of the cubic inch wars before manufacturers realized that refinement beats raw size. The Vulcan 2000 became a cautionary tale that influenced the industry's shift toward more manageable, efficient designs. If you're liking this content so far, consider liking, subscribing, and sharing with a friend. It really helps me out. Number 13. 2017 Harley-Davidson Street Glide Twin Cam 103. Now, the Street Glide is typically a stellar touring machine, but 2017 was different. According to widespread owner reports and dealer bulletins, the 2017 model year specifically suffered from severe overheating issues that went beyond typical Harley warmth. The Twin Cam 103 in this particular year had inadequate oil cooling due to a restrictive oil cooler design that Harley quietly revised in later production. Riders reported engines running so hot that warning lights would trigger at highway speeds, not just in traffic. Heat shields would turn blue from excessive temperatures, and some riders experienced warped cylinder heads requiring complete top-end rebuilds under warranty. For a touring bike designed for cross-country comfort, having an engine that became a blast furnace defeated the entire purpose. The timing couldn't have been worse. Harley introduced the superior Milwaukee 8 engine just months later, making 2017 Street Glide buyers feel like they'd bought obsolete technology. This debacle contributed to Harley's decision to accelerate the Twin Cam's retirement across their entire lineup. Number 12. Kawasaki H2 750 Triple, 1972 to 75. The original H2 earned the nickname Widowmaker, and that alone should raise red flags. According to period reviews and owner accounts, these two-stroke triples delivered power like a light switch, nothing below 4,000 RPM, then an explosive hit that could lift the front wheel through third gear. The 750cc two-stroke triple produced 74 horsepower, impressive for 1972, but delivered with the subtlety of a hammer blow. The engine suffered from chronic spark plug fouling if you didn't ride it hard enough, yet riding it hard meant dealing with terrible fuel economy, often under 25 miles per gallon. The oil injection system, while innovative, had a fatal flaw. The pump drive gear was plastic and would strip without warning, causing instant seizure. Many owners converted to premix just to avoid this $3,000 disaster waiting to happen. Rick Radford, who maintains one of the most complete H2 registries, estimates only about 70 of the original 112 UK imported blue models survive. The H2's reputation influenced motorcycle design for decades, teaching manufacturers that controllable power delivery matters more than peak numbers. Number 11. 1980 Harley-Davidson Sportster Ironhead. The early 80s were Harley's darkest period under AMF ownership, and the 1980 Sportster's Ironhead engine epitomized everything wrong with that era. Quality control had deteriorated so badly that dealers joked about including a drip pan with every purchase. The 1000cc Evolution engine wouldn't arrive until 1986, leaving 1980 buyers stuck with the ancient Ironhead design. This engine produced just 55 horsepower from 1000cc, pathetic even by 1980 standards when Honda's CB750 made 67 horsepower from smaller displacement. The 4-speed transmission felt agricultural, with gear whines so loud it drowned out the exhaust, but the worst part was the vibration, so severe it would literally shake bolts loose during rides. Riders reported numb hands after just 30 miles of highway riding, and mirrors were useless blurs at any speed. The Ironhead's valve guides would wear prematurely, causing massive oil consumption and blue smoke. This disaster nearly killed Harley-Davidson, spurring the 1981 management buyout that saved the company and led to the revolutionary Evolution engine that restored their reputation. Number 10. Yamaha Virago VX535, 1981 through 2003, various years. Yamaha's entry into the cruiser market should have been straightforward, but the XV535's engine brought complexity where simplicity was needed. The 535cc V-twin looked great on paper, but execution fell short in critical areas. The starter clutch system became the bike's Achilles heel. The one-way starter clutch would fail catastrophically, often without warning, leaving riders stranded. Replacement required engine removal and cost more than many bikes were worth. The dual Mikuni carburetors suffered from persistent synchronization issues that no amount of adjustment could permanently fix. Electrical problems plagued the entire system, with the regulator and rectifier failing so frequently that aftermarket companies developed upgrade units specifically for this model. The shaft drive, while theoretically low maintenance, developed expensive wear patterns in the universal joint. A European Virago owner's forum poll showed 68% experienced major starter clutch failure before 20,000 miles. While Yamaha eventually developed the successful V-Star line, the XV535's problems taught them that entering the American cruiser market required more than just V-twin styling. Number 9. Ducati Passo 750, 1986 through 1990. Italian passion met engineering confusion in the Passo 750. This fully fared sport tourer pioneered aerodynamic design, but forgot that engines need to breathe and run reliably. The Weber dual-throat carburetor, yes, the same type used in cars, was hilariously inappropriate for a motorcycle. Ducati rotated the rear cylinder head 180 degrees for packaging reasons, requiring a mechanical fuel pump that would flood the carburetor at idle. Stop at a light and the engine would load up and stall. The complete fairing that looked so futuristic actually created an oven around the engine with no adequate airflow for cooling. Temperatures would soar even in moderate weather, warping cylinder heads and cooking electrical components. Parts availability became impossible as Ducati distanced themselves from this failure. Weber carburetor parts had to be sourced from automotive suppliers who'd look at you like you were insane. The Passo sold so poorly it nearly bankrupted Ducati, teaching them that innovation without reliability equals bankruptcy. Still, it influenced fully fared sport touring design for years to come. Number 8. Suzuki RE5 Rotary, 1974 through 76. The 1970s saw wild experimentation, but Suzuki's RE5 Rotary took things too far. While Norton and BSA stuck with traditional designs, Suzuki bet big on Felix Wankel's rotary concept, and lost spectacularly. The 497cc single-rotor Wankel engine promised smoothness and simplicity, but delivered complexity and catastrophic fuel consumption. Owners reported 20 miles per gallon on a good day, with single-digit mileage possible when ridden hard. The rotary's apex seals would wear rapidly, requiring rebuilds every 12,000 miles at costs exceeding the bike's value. Heat management proved impossible. The complex dual cooling system, both water and oil cooling, still couldn't prevent thermal destruction. The RE5 featured a cylindrical instrument cluster that looked like a beer can and was about as reliable. Suzuki reportedly lost $5,000 on every RE5 sold, nearly destroying the company financially. Only 6,000 were made before Suzuki admitted defeat. The RE5's spectacular failure ended the motorcycle industry's rotary experimentation, proving that some automotive technology doesn't translate to two wheels. Number 7. BMW S1000RR, 2010 through 2011. BMW shocked the sport bike world with the S1000RR's performance, but early buyers got a different kind of shock. The 2010 and 2011 models suffered from connecting rod bearing failures that turned precision German engineering into expensive paperweights. According to NHTSA documents, BMW identified connecting rod bolts that could loosen and cause catastrophic engine failure. The recall affected hundreds of units globally, with documented cases of complete engine destruction at highway speeds. Beyond the Conrod disaster, these first-year engines suffered from fuel pump failures that would strand riders without warning. The high-pressure fuel system would develop leaks, creating fire hazards that prompted additional recalls. The quickshifter, revolutionary for its time, would occasionally engage incorrectly, causing missed shifts and transmission damage. For buyers who paid $15,000 plus for German reliability, getting multiple recall notices was unacceptable. BMW's response, extending warranties and improving quality control, eventually made later S1000RRs bulletproof. But 2010 through 2011 buyers paid premium prices to be unwitting test riders for BMW's superbike learning curve. Number 6. Hyosung GT650 V-Twin. Korean cars earned respect through decades of improvement. Korean motorcycles? Still working on it. The GT650's engine looked like Suzuki's SV650 V-Twin because Hyosung once supplied components to Suzuki, but copying homework doesn't mean understanding it. The electrical system was this bike's downfall. Regulator and rectifier units failed with such regularity that dealers kept replacements in stock. The stator would burn out, often taking the entire charging system with it. The ECU on fuel-injected models would randomly fail, causing the engine to cut out at speed, terrifying and dangerous. Fit and finish varied wildly between examples. Some engines ran perfectly, while others self-destructed within months. The real tragedy came when Hyosung's dealer network collapsed in many countries. Parts became unobtainable, turning minor issues into bike-ending problems. Even basic items like gaskets required months-long waits from Korea. Multiple Hyosung forums document owners abandoning bikes due to unavailable $50 parts. The GT650 proved that competitive pricing means nothing without dealer support and parts availability. Number 5. KTM Duke 790, 2018 through 2019. KTM's Ready to Race motto became ready for recalls with early Duke 790s. This parallel twin was meant to challenge Yamaha's MT-07 dominance, but stumbled out of the gate with serious quality issues. The LC8C engine developed mysterious leaks from day one. Oil would appear with no obvious source, stumping dealers and infuriating owners who'd bought brand new bikes. Head gasket failures occurred within the first 1,000 miles on numerous examples. The fuel pump would fail without warning, and the diagnostic system wouldn't always flag the issue. Some engines developed severe piston slap that required complete rebuilds under warranty. The quickshifter would occasionally select false neutrals, leaving riders suddenly without power mid-corner. European forums documented over 40 separate technical service bulletins issued in the first year alone. KTM's rush to market meant customers became involuntary quality control testers. The Duke 790 eventually became reliable under extensive updates, but early buyers learned that ready to race should include ready to wait for parts. Number 4. Aprilia RS-V4, 2010. When your superbike's press launch ends with 5 blown engines in front of journalists, you know you've got problems. Aprilia's flagship V4 sport bike became infamous for the wrong reasons. According to the official NHTSA filings, defective connecting rods were identified as the culprit. A supplier's process for straightening rods to specification actually weakened them catastrophically. Aprilia made the unprecedented decision to replace entire engines in all 355 US market bikes rather than risk failures. But even after the engine replacements, problems persisted. Valve cover gaskets would leak repeatedly, even after multiple replacements with upgraded designs. The airbox would develop cracks, causing running issues that were difficult to diagnose. Fuel tanks developed paint bubbling, a problem that required tank replacement under a separate recall. For a $15,000 Italian exotic, the ownership experience felt more like beta testing than premium motorcycling. The RS-V4 engine replacement program cost Aprilia millions and damaged their reputation for years, though they handled the crisis with admirable transparency. Number 3. Suzuki TL1000S, 1997 through 2001. The TL1000S proved that innovative engineering without proper testing equals disaster. While the 996cc V-twin engine itself was reasonably solid, the bike's rotary rear damper turned the whole package into a potential death trap. Suzuki's unique rear suspension used a rotary damper instead of conventional shock absorber. Under hard riding, this damper would overheat and fail, causing violent tank slapping oscillations that could throw riders off. The problem was so severe that Suzuki issued a recall to install steering dampers, not fixing the issue, just adding a band-aid. The fuel injection system, primitive by today's standards, caused abrupt throttle response that exacerbated the chassis issues. Weak frames would crack at the steering head under stress. The combination of powerful engine, failed suspension, and chassis flex created perfect storm conditions. Insurance companies eventually refused to cover TL1000S models, effectively killing sales. Suzuki never made another bike with rotary rear suspension, and the TL's failure pushed them back to proven V-Strom and SV650 platforms that prioritized reliability over innovation. Number 2. Norton Commando 850, 1973 through 1975. British motorcycles and oil leaks go together like tea and crumpets, but the Norton Commando 850 elevated leaking to an art form. This wasn't just character, it was chronic engine failure. The 850's problems started with its basic design. Norton bored out the 750 to 850cc without strengthening the cases adequately. The result? Cracked crankcases that would leak oil permanently. The infamous crack between pushrod tunnels and cylinder fins affected virtually every 850 head produced. The isoelastic engine mounting system, meant to reduce vibration, would wear and require constant adjustment, or the engine would literally shake loose from the frame. Primary chains would stretch rapidly, and the infamous wet sumping meant oil migration from tank to crankcase when parked, causing hydrolock or massive smoke clouds on startup. British Leyland's ownership during this period meant cost cutting at every turn. Gaskets were made from inferior materials that would fail within months. Norton went bankrupt in 1975, largely due to warranty claims from the 850. The brand would resurrect and fail multiple times, but the 850's reputation for unreliability haunts Norton to this day. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Twin Cam 88, 1999 through 06. Here it is, the engine that redefined catastrophic failure. Harley's Twin Cam 88 wasn't just unreliable, it was fundamentally flawed from conception. The fatal flaw lived in the cam chain tensioner system. Harley used spring-loaded tensioners with plastic shoes that would disintegrate as early as 15,000 miles. When these shoes failed, metal chain would grind against metal guides, creating metallic debris that circulated through the entire engine. This metal contamination destroyed bearings, scored cylinders, and lunged crankcases. The repair? Complete engine teardown at minimum, often total replacement. But wait, it gets worse. The Twin Cam 88 leaked oil from everywhere. Base gaskets, rocker boxes, primary covers, you name it. Early examples suffered from crankshaft runout issues that caused severe vibration and bearing failure. The oil pump was undersized, providing inadequate lubrication at idle. Summing was so bad that some engines would hydraulic lock. The May 2006 edition of American Iron Magazine called it the most problematic engine Harley ever produced. S&S Cycle and other aftermarket companies made millions selling gear drive cam conversions to eliminate the tensioner system entirely. Class action lawsuits were filed. Thousands of riders learned that buying a first-year Harley engine meant becoming an unwitting test pilot. The Twin Cam 88A, the A unofficially stood for awful among mechanics, proved that even American icons fail when bean counters override engineers. Harley scrambled to fix these issues with the 88B and the later 96-inch versions, but for anyone looking at a 1999 through 2006 Harley with original Twin Cam 88, remember, that bargain price isn't a deal, it's a trap. So there you have it, folks, 15 engines that'll turn your motorcycle dream into a mechanical disaster. Remember, every one of these bikes has its defenders who either got lucky or are deep in denial. But when you're shopping for your next ride, knowledge is horsepower, and knowing what to avoid can save you thousands in repairs and countless hours stranded on the roadside. These engines shaped the motorcycle industry, not through success, but through spectacular failure, forcing manufacturers to up their game. Your bank account will thank you for paying attention. If this video saved you from making an expensive mistake, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We've got more buyer's guides, mechanical deep dives, and industry insights coming your way. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the oil inside the engine where it belongs. Ride safe, wrench smart, and remember, sometimes the best bike deal is the one you walk away from.